Hi, I'm with etrailer, and today we're talking about the Titan chain tire chains with twist links on our 2023 Nissan Rogue. And we're going to have this on our front axle as what the manual recommends. And our tire size is going to be 235, 60, R18. Now that's just the tire size we have today. This is going to fit a wide range of tire sizes. If you're not sure if this is going to fit your vehicle, you can actually plug in your vehicle's information into our fit guide to find what's going to be the correct fit for you. These chains are going to be more ideal if you are driving through some conditions with moderate snow and maybe some light ice, and you're just looking for something a little bit more lightweight versus your more traditional bulky chains. And that's going to be because we don't have a whole lot of clearance back here. It's definitely more noticeable on the backside. And that's going to be because these are Class S chains, so they're not going to stick up very high, and they're going to give you more of a smooth ride too. Another thing to think about is going to be the shape of these links. They're going to be twist links. So what twist links give you are going to be a little bit more bite through that ice and snow, and they're not going to be as rough as something more like a square link. They're also going to have a low carbon construction, and what that means is this is going to be a softer metal. So that's also going to give you more of a smooth ride, but it's not going to be something that's going to last you as long as some of our other options. Now, as you can see at the very front of our chains, we're going to have this lever, and what this lever does is take out of a lot of slack that we get from our chains. So I am actually a fan of these because the ones that you just hook up to some links are pretty nice, but if you need to get a little more tension out of your chains and make sure everything feels pretty solid, then this is a great bet. These chains are going to come two to a set, and they're going to come in this small tote. I'm actually a big fan of this tote because, one, it doesn't take up a whole lot of space. It's pretty small. It'll be really easy to store in your car. And two, our chains fit in there really nicely. There's even a divider in the center, so they're going to be less likely to get entangled up. Now, something that they don't come with is something I recommend investing in, and that's going to be a rubber tensioner. Because what can happen to your chains when you're driving down the road is they can shift or loosen up, and that's going to make them more likely of making contact with your suspension. So what this will do is constantly apply tension or pressure to your chains, so if they do loosen up, they're not going to make contact with anything. In my opinion, if you're looking for a set of chains that are really easy to store and going to give you moderate traction through that snow, I think these are a great option for you. Now, I also think there's a lot of other great options too, depending on your needs. If you don't need as much traction as what these give you, if you're just driving through light snow, then I'd recommend another option from Titan chains, and that's going to be the ones that you make all your connections on the front side, and it comes with a rubber tensioner. So you don't have to invest in anything else, and you don't have to deal with getting underneath your vehicle. If you want to take a step up and get a little bit more traction and look for something that is easier to install too, Titan chains makes another option as well, and that's going to be ones that have an assisted tensioner on it. And the way that's going to work is you only have two connections on the front side, on the very top, and then you're tighten something, and that's something that you don't even have to have a rubber tensioner for at all because it's built into your chains. But if you don't need anything like that, you just want to go with something more the bare minimum because you don't need a little bit more traction, or you need enough traction for certain areas, that's going to be a great option for you. But like I said earlier, the installation for this can be a little bit tricky because we have to get underneath our vehicle. And if you are curious to see what that looks like, just stay tuned and we'll walk you through it. To begin the installation, we're going to lay out our chains. I'm going to grab some gloves just to make this easier. And if you are doing this for the first time, I recommend staying home and trying this out because you don't want to have to try to figure this out on the side of the road in the middle of a blizzard. And what I'm doing at this point is just checking the orientation of our chains, making sure these hooks are facing up and nothing's twisted either. I also want to make sure that this lever is on the outside so we can reach it a lot easier. After when we're done that, I'm just going to grab my chains from the center and then drape them over our tire till everything's pretty even. And that's really the main thing at this point, just making sure nothing's hanging over too far, like I have right here. We don't want that because we're making contact with our rim. It's not even on each side either. So I'm just going to lift up until that's mostly level. Everything's looking pretty good. And I want to move these chains to a spot that's going to be much simpler to make our connections with on the front and back. I like to start on the back side because it is a little bit tougher to reach. And that's going to consist of me grabbing these links that's hanging off on the side and finding this hook on the other side and connecting them. And that can be pretty tricky being underneath here because, as you can see, we don't have a whole lot of space. And this is probably going to take me a few tries just because we want to make sure things aren't too tight on each side. Because if it's too tight on one side or too loose on one side, it's not going to give us an even fit. But after when you make this connection, then we can move over to the front side. The front side is going to be a little bit different. And this is actually going to consist of me grabbing these links. And we're going to grab that lever, and instead of hooking it on the side like that, instead we're going to go all the way through. And this is where we're going to get a majority of our tension from, because we're going to apply pressure to this and tighten this down. What I like to do is push down on that link too, so it's just a little bit easier to maneuver. So everything's reaching over, and then we're just going to push that hook through one of these existing links over here. Then I like to come back through, pull on this, and this is feeling pretty tight. I'm liking that. What I'm going to do now is come back through with a rubber tensioner, and I'm going to apply pressure. I talked a little bit about this earlier. And the way I like to put this on is going to be in a star pattern. Just making sure everything is applying pressure pretty evenly. And then, when I'm doing this, I like to make sure that the hooks are facing the correct way. And they should be having the hook face out, because we don't want that to make contact with our tire and puncture anything. After that, I'll give it another pull, make sure everything feels pretty secure. Then I'm going to repeat that process on the other side. After that, I recommend either pulling forward or back some, just to make sure you have a good fit, and if you do, you can take it out for a ride. But that's just a look at the Titan Chain tire chains with twist links on our 2023 Nissan Rogue. Thanks for watching.